But if you walk in here and I don't really like the way you conduct yourself walking around the dining room, I can dismiss you.
And how is that meant to protect employees?
Yeah, but also we have no money, so...
Yeah. You had an issue in the kitchen, right?
You know, we lost people. We lost most everybody that we had on the team.
Another episode of Bar Talks in association with Three Senses. You can tell it's right here. We're enjoying this. We're at Little Rituals in Phoenix, in Arizona. As you can tell by my voice, it is the end of cocktail weekend. And I'm here with Aaron DeFeo, one of the co-owners of Arizona Cocktail Weekend, as well as owner of this place. And apparently, according to Russ Simon, his business partner, the real brains and palate behind all of the concepts.
Well, that is very sweet of him to say, but you know, he's contributed so much to my professional development, just being partnered with him and being friend with him. I still remember meeting him all those years ago. It was very funny because if you know Ross, you know he's got a peculiar
he's Scottish,
peculiar personality, and I'd never met him before, and we sat down and we didn't have much to say to each other the first time we met, and then we were sitting in a bar, and then immediately he started breaking down all the things that they needed to do differently about the bar design, and that's kind of how we bonded, actually. We're like, this is a crazy distance between the well and the back bar, you know?
So when did you first meet?
I want to say it was 2007, I believe. And we were just introduced by, I think it was like a supplier or a distributor said, hey, there's a guy you got to meet. And they said that same conversation to both of us.
That's how they bonded as well.
Yeah. So they were like, you know, and they did a meet cute for us, like in some like shitty little Mexican restaurant in the north side of Tucson, and we just kind of sat there
and kissed.
Yeah, right. And we sat there in silence for a while, and then eventually, we started talking shit about the way that the bar was set up, and that was how we did it.
A couple of margaritas later,
exactly.
Now we're comfortable.
Yeah.
But you are an Arizona through and through native.
Yeah.
Right.
Born and raised.
And in this industry where normally everyone moves around, they want to go here, they want to go there, get as much experience, get as much notches under their belt, whatever. It is kind of rare, especially in the cocktail scene, that somebody ends up, no, I'm from here, I'm going to develop here, I'm going to watch it grow, and I'm going to contribute.
It never ends. You know, I consider myself a little bit of a journeyman. Like I will... All the jobs I've ever had, I've been there for 4, 5 years, 6 years. I kind of stick probably too long at certain things. But, you know, now that I have my own place, hopefully that lasts for forever, right? You know, this bar will be open for 100 years in this Marriott.
What was Phoenix like 20 years ago when you were lucky enough to start?
Well, you know, I was born in Tucson, and I spent most of my time, you know, Tucson and Phoenix are closely linked. We're about an hour and a half away. So Phoenix was always the big city, and Tucson was always kind of the runt.
Every state, every country.
Yeah,
you know.
And Tucson's great. I love Tucson, and it made me who I am as a person, and I still love it, and it's still my home. You know, I moved up to Phoenix for the opportunity because this was a scene that had the inertia to keep growing.
Right.
Tucson doesn't change a lot. It's very similar to the way it was many years ago. So
there isn't a lot of infrastructure in food and beverage. There's not a lot of money being put into food and beverage.
Right.
So it's kind of it's stagnant in a lot of ways, especially if you want to do something like this. And you know, if you have aspirations to do, you know, a big city bar, or we're going to do really cool stuff, or you know, that maybe it's a transitional town. There's a lot of college students.
Right.
That makes up a big part of the economy there.
It's more function as opposed to experience, right?
So I moved up here. You know, Ross. We talked about our meeting many years ago, but I always kept in touch with him, and when he opened Bitter and Twisted, you know, it was such an eye-opening experience for me. He walked me through the whole process when he was doing it and asked me for advice, and I learned things from him. And so when it was time to for him to do another project, he looked me up and said, hey, let's do this.
That's great.
Space.
10 years ago, there was that one bar in your city, or that one or two bars in your city that were the cocktail bar.
Yeah.
And they probably trained everyone, and everybody went through them. And crazy to think about that in a city that had 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 million people, there was only a handful of bars that were the cocktail scene. Now you go to a city, there's like, send me your list, and you've got like 10 fucking places that you can go and check out. We're growing as a niche. Cocktail bars, our subculture, our lists, our fucking awards. Sure, yeah, the new golden era of cocktails. but we need to like sort of tame our fucking ego a bit, because we only represent 0.01% of all food and bev.
Yeah.
Like we're not, like we think we're the best bar in the world, but like how many people give a shit about cocktails globally in that 1.1%? Like 80,000 people around the world? Like we're a super small community. It's
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, if you were paying attention to social media this weekend, you'd think that everybody in Phoenix was, absolutely ecstatic about Arizona Cocktail Weekend. And there were a lot of people that were, but there were probably, well, I know for a fact there were 4 million people that did not know or care about the event.
And so there's an element of, if there was only one bar 10 years ago that was a small bar, usually it's a small bar, not as big as Bitter, that has like a team of 10, and then those 10 people then go to open or possibly run 10 more good bars 10 years later. It is slow growth. We might think it's cool, but there's a small number of people.
What you're describing right there is a nice, healthy rate of growth.
Yes, sorry, yes.
What I think we're actually seeing, and this is the problem, is that it's sort of metastasizing where people are leaving concepts way too early to go do. They're not ready. Like, people are not ready. It took me, 15, 16 years before I really, truly was ready to open my own bar. Some of these people are working 2-3 years in the industry, and all of a sudden, they're being handed the keys to,
you're in charge of fucking 50 people. Here's your new program. Go crack.
And that's been a problem for a while, and I think we have not done anything to address it in the industry. I feel like we've.
But can we? I think it's like a housing market bubble, like the 2008 recession.
It is. It's grown. I mean, it's starting. I mean, it's about to pop. I feel like.
That's what I feel.
I've been saying that for a couple of years and nothing's happened. But I just feel like, people aren't willing to put in the time, which is what we started talking about when we first sat down. Which was like, I was at places for 4 or 5 years, and then I move on to the next place. I felt that I'd ceilinged out. But people are feeling like they're hitting their ceiling after 6 months, going, well, how come I'm not, the head bartender? Or how come I'm not running the program? Or how come all of these drinks on the menu aren't mine? And I just feel like there needs to be a little bit, people need to take a step back and just think about their career trajectory as a whole. Do you want to do the fast, easy way and cut corners, and maybe at the end find yourself kind of lost? There are a lot of bartenders out there that, I know personally, just in the city, who've worked.
Personally in the city.
who have worked everywhere, right? They worked at every bar, all of them for like 6 months. But where do they go now?
Yeah.
What do they do? If you've worked everywhere in a major city and you've been there for 6 months or 3 months at all these places, you find yourself in a position where you're just sitting around waiting for the next place to open up.
Well, your resume sucks. Anyone who's any bar manager who's looking at your back and forth, they're like, you're not reliable.
Yeah.
If you've been moving every 6 fucking months. But that moves on to what happened this weekend. Literally 3 days ago, you had an issue in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
So can you tell me?
Yeah, I mean, just, things happen, and we lost people. We lost most everybody that we had on the team for one reason. Everybody had their own, reason. And I'm an open and honest person, so I'll just tell you this, but it was unexpected, but not surprising.
Right.
It was, one of those things. It comes down to leadership. It comes down to having the right people in the right positions. And you can't take anything for granted in your business. You have to have the right people in all of those positions. If the kitchen doesn't have the right leader, you're going to be headed down a rocky path. Then I think that was the situation we had. We just didn't have the right.
What are the red flags?
I mean, so many. I mean, I think, and this goes
top 3.
Top 3 is, being open to feedback.
Right.
If somebody's not open to feedback, or you see any kind of bristling, or somebody sort of tightens up, or is like, oh well, no, that's a problem. That's a big problem. Bartenders, everything else. If the ownership or general manager is talking to a chef or a bartender and says, hey, I think we need to do this with this cocktail, or like, I love what you're presenting here, but I think these tweaks need to be made in order for this to work here. If there's a lot of resistance, that's a sign that person probably isn't on board with what you're trying to do as a whole.
Right.
And that is a red flag for me. Obviously there's tons of other red flags, like people trying to dip out early or not be there for the whole shift, or constantly, if whoever is the person who wants to get off the fastest, that's not a person that's in it for the long game. It's not a person that's there for your business.
Yeah, Arizona is different than other parts of the world. So here you're a right to work state, right? And I only learned what the fuck this was like a day ago. So can you really explain it? I don't really get it. Like, what is a right to work state? What is that?
Actually, to be honest with you, I don't like the term right to work state because it sounds like it's a law that's there to protect employees.
Right.
But it's actually not. It's there for employers.
What is the law? Because no one
basically it's an at-will type of employment arrangement. So like we can, an employer can let you go pretty much at any point in time. There's no contracts. Like this isn't the kind of state where you come and sign a contract with the business, and then when we terminate, we have to, one, have a bunch of cause, and then two, we have to either pay out or do some sort of severance or something.
Right.
We can terminate at any time. Now that doesn't preclude the person from being eligible for unemployment. Like,
okay.
If we terminate without cause, that person can then get unemployment from the state.
For sure. So the law just basically means they can be terminated at any time. And how is that meant to protect employees?
I don't think I think it's framed that way in the way it's not. It's for business.
It's for business. Yeah. Okay.
But the way if you said right to work, if I said, oh, there's a right to work,
right?
Like I have a right to my rights. Like,
It sounds positive when you read the law.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, I'm thinking to myself now, unless you are a business owner, probably as an employee, that's quite big pressure, right? Because if this person is your boss, at any point, they can just terminate your employment without any cause.
As long as it's not for any of the protected reasons.
And that's probably the pressure that puts on you in front of your boss is crazy, because you're like, fuck, I can be let go for anything. That person might be drunk and might fire me, whatever.
But at the I'm sorry to
I know. Yeah, sorry.
At the same time, right now in the climate that we're in, with so many openings and so many vacancies in all these bars and restaurants for bartenders and servers, it's almost a reverse thing where you feel like you need to keep people, and really, which is good. I mean, you should care about your employees. You should care about their development, but there are times where you almost feel like if you let this person go, is there going to be another person that you can get into the bar?
Because what we were speaking about,
and staffing is a real problem, because even though there are people out there looking for jobs, a lot of them are not people who are truly serious about what we're doing. Being in a specialty environment like this bar, for instance, it is hard. It's hard to work here. I mean, it's challenging, I should say, not hard, just challenging to learn everything, challenging to keep up standards. A lot of people are not looking for that. So you have to take a large portion of the labor pool out of the running and set them aside, because they're not going to want to do this anyway.
Yeah, well, when there's a demand like that, yeah, for sure. I talk about the same thing when it comes to brands. Brands sponsor everything in our industry, everything. In my mind, I'm like, when is a big-ass brand going to turn around? One of the 5 corporations are going to go, you know what, fuck the cocktail industry. You know what I mean?
Are they not already kind of?
It seems like.
Do we not see little fingers of that spreading in? I mean, think about how many times you've heard of one of the major brand companies saying something to you like, "Well, we're in the midst of a big shakeup right now.
Yeah,
we're in the midst of restructuring our brand. Our brand ambassador team. I mean, we've had some really iconic brand ambassadors kind of exit their roles in the last few years, and it's been a little shocking. I mean, there was some big mix-ups in the NA world last year that really pissed off a lot of people, and it was kind of like, a brand being like, we're bringing on the best of the best to do this, and then they're like, yeah, but also we have no money, so you're all dismissed, thank you, right to work.
There you go, right to work.
I'm sure there was some sort of compensation, but thinking about that, do you not see it? I feel like I see it a little bit.
I'm seeing it.
When does the money valve shut off?
Well, that's it. Well, I'm seeing it in different places, because the big Diageo, 3 years ago, just fired their entire ambassador team in Germany. Just fucking fired everybody. And sure, it was like COVID. There was a lot of reasons why. I get it. Like, BAs are always part of the marketing budget, so they're the first to get cut. They're not even treated as workers in some countries. They're not salaried employees. For the business, your salary is part of the marketing budget. You are a marketing tool. How the fuck do you expect people to respect themselves and love your brand when they literally look at the marketing budget and see their salary and be like, I'm an expense. I'm not necessary. And then as soon as anything happens, they get cut. And I'm worried that even though I am recording this right now for social media, I'm worried that all it's going to take is the world to move even higher into this, And the one-on-one seminars and trainings and bars are just gonna fucking disappear. Everyone's gonna jump on a fucking Zoom call, and you know what I mean? Like VR.
It's scary, but I'll tell you all of the most maybe just because I'm old school, but all of my most amazing experiences in this industry have been in person.
Absolutely.
Tangible things I will never forget. The right person, the right industry luminary looking at me at the right time and saying something encouraging or nice or being friendly at a Tales of the Cocktail event, that I will never forget because they took the time to or recognizing me. One time I said, "Hey, so nice to meet you," and then 2 years later they were like, "Hey, what's going on?"
They recognize you. We did that thing.
Just, all those type of things. I don't think it's possible with social media in that way.
Absolutely. No, I agree. Yeah, so no, somebody was throwing numbers at me, and they were like, okay, most countries around the world, off-trade is like 90%, on-trade is 10.
Yeah.
And then some countries that I consider the cool markets, that might be 80-20, or like in that range.
Sure.
And then apparently in the US, it's like 60-40. Like it's a lot more drinks are consumed in the on-trade, and hence the budgets, hence the money. He's getting thrown around, but at the same time, there in the U.S. you can't sponsor a listing. Technically, that's illegal, right? There's different laws that stop brands paying for listing fees, right?
It's different in every state, every municipality. I mean, there's crazy laws even here in Arizona. How about this one for you? If you have over a certain amount of people that you can hold in your venue, or in your bar, you do live music, you become a venue, and they can sponsor you and they can give you money.
As long as you're a venue.
As long as you are a music venue and you're over a certain amount of people, that you're allowed to do that, which is crazy because if I do that, if I take money or something, I solicit, hey, give me some money to sponsor my bar, that could get everybody in serious trouble.
Yeah.
But just because I have 75 seats, but somebody else who has 1,000 seats and has a country music,
once a week.
Concert once a week, they can take money. It's just it's a crazy antiquated patchwork of rules that we all have to navigate.
And no one's gonna fix it anytime soon, right?
No. And
this is where I wish more brand people who mostly sit in offices and make the big money decisions would sometimes come out to these things, because when they see the impact that they can make and when they meet the people, that's when the beautiful things happen, when they're physically in interaction. Because otherwise that festival is just a number on a spreadsheet, as opposed to being like an in-person, the thing that we're talking about, the in-person one-to-one discussion.
And I think the way it's set up, I think the way that we're doing it and the way some of these other cocktail festivals are doing it is providing an experience that you can only get it in that venue. I think as opposed to dumping, you can pay somebody to put a drink on a menu, but that means very little. And I think it's the guests don't know that, or they don't recognize that. Most of the guests will not recognize that it's happening, and they won't necessarily be influenced by the fact that there's XY vodka in this drink. They're mostly there for the bar.
Yeah.
They're really there for the bar. And so I don't know. I think it's a fool's errand in terms of that way of spending your marketing dollars. I think it's not as impactful as some of these experiential things. And I know experiential is a big thing in this industry right now.
But one thing I wanted to ask you was, when's the next bar?
For me?
Yeah, never.
I mean, part of me says I can't wait, and the other part of me says never again. It's one of those things. We're pretty, Ross and I are very methodical about what we do, and I think a lot of people are very impetuous, and they're just like, I can't wait to open the next one. I can't wait to open the next one. But the reality of the situation is, if it's not right, we're not going to do it. It doesn't benefit us. It doesn't benefit. I would hate to open a place and see it close in 3 months because the market wasn't there, or the concept wasn't fully fleshed out. You got to do things. Sometimes it takes patience, and it goes back to the same thing about people in their careers. There has to be a certain degree of patience in what you're doing. You have to learn and truly learn what you're doing. Make that drink 1,000 times so that you're an expert at making that drink, as opposed to just coming in and I looked at some sheets and I cobbled some things together and I'm the next mixologist of the year. It's like, did you master these certain aspects? And I think that's the same thing with business. It's anything, If
there's anything I can say about this interview is that I think patience is key, right?
Absolutely.
My friend. Oh, and you heard it, turn off for... Thank you
Did
so
it?
much. Yeah, it was one of them. Thank you so much, brother.
Of course.
Take it easy. This is Bar Talks. This is Aaron DeFeo.